In every moment, you choose who you want to be and how you want to live your life. It is your ultimate power and your inescapable responsibility. You are the master of your reality. It doesn't always feel that way though, right? I mean, too often we believe the awful fictions of our fears. We believe our misguided assumptions and our faulty logic. We surrender to our self-limitations. We misconceive our strengths and weaknesses, our luck, our success, our value. We perpetuate our insecurities and vanities. And we fail to listen to each other and to our own hearts. How do we take back control, creating the lives we want for ourselves with awareness and accountability? That's the question we consider in this interview series, Mastering Your Reality. We'll explore the question with remarkable people who clearly have a lot to teach us on the subject. Today's guest is one such person. Jack Daly is a legend. It's hard to know where to begin to describe Jack. He's a 6-time successful entrepreneur, a professional sales coach. He is the sales guru, goes all over the world, teaching organizations how to improve their sales departments. And he is a man who has mastered life by design. He elevates awareness and accountability to a whole nother plane. I'm excited to talk to him about it. Jack, thank you for being here.
I think it's a treat. Anytime that I get to be around you, no matter how distant, there's an energy level that comes off of you that takes my game up to another level.
Well, I feel the same way, Jack. Thank you.
Now,
Jack, let's dive in. I want to talk first a little bit about your living by design and the shining example you are of living with awareness and accountability, creating the life you want for yourself. I got to say, Jack, I have been blessed to do a lot of really cool things in my life. I've been pretty busy. But when I get around you, man, I feel like a lazy bum that's done nothing. It is incredible what you've done. Can you talk to us a little bit about what living by design, what awareness and accountability mean for you personally in your life?
Well, Isaac, I was benefited early in life, at 13 years old, actually, with getting that awareness. And that came about by virtue of interviewing 200 successful business owners for about 4 hours each on how they became successful. And those individuals imparted to me some common threads. And in those common threads were things like, you can't get there unless you know what there is, which translated basically to you need to have some goals. The goals are not goals unless they're in writing. And you need to have some evidence of completion, whether that's a date or something tangible that evidences that you completed the goal. And once you've got them down in writing, share them with as many people out there as possible. And that will increase your probability of success and accountability. So literally at 13 years old, I sat down and identified 4 areas of my life that I wanted to accomplish by the age of 30. And if I could figure out how to do that, then I would claim success at 30 years old. And so literally at 13 years old, I had de facto a life by design. And all I've done since then, and I'm now 68 years old, I've just updated the model with new pictures of success, and the boxes may change, and the definition of success changes over time. But you can literally sit down and pretty much design your life. It's a spectacular way to live it.
It's phenomenal. Now, just to make sure that everyone listening here understands, Jack, I mean, you essentially make a personal business plan for yourself every year, right? With goals for the year, revisiting your goals for the sort of short term and long term. Your wife is involved in the process. You guys figure out your shared objectives and goals. Is this right? Can you describe this process?
Yeah, you got it. If you start something at 13 and you get to be 68, there's all kinds of fine tuning that goes on. I now tell my audiences as a speaker that it's gotten to the point that I think it's evidence of a truly sick human being. There's some seriousness there in that the things that I measure and the things that I hold myself accountable to are microscopic almost in nature, but they fit into the great big picture. So the great big picture might be health. If I go down to the microscopic level, I actually had a goal to floss my teeth every day, and I actually measure that and have my team of what I call the board of directors of my life, which is 5 people that hold me accountable to my goals. Each of them meet with me individually 4 times a year, so that's 20 visits, and each of them are holding me accountable to something as microscopic as how many times did you floss your teeth this quarter or this month or this year?
So I've had the privilege of hearing you speak 2 or 3 times, Jack, and it's life-changing for anyone who has the opportunity. You definitely want to hear Jack speak. I got to tell you, I've been taking your example to a much lesser extent. I keep a spreadsheet of a lot of different sort of metrics that I try to keep track of, and Dorothy and I, sat down and tried to map out a plan for 2017, and we have some quarterly goals and some annual goals, and it really is it's awesome. They say discipline is freedom, and I found that to be true in my life.
So I'm gonna give you one that you haven't heard from me before.
Let's hear it.
And then the people that have the opportunity to listen to us here can benefit as well. But one of the pieces of advice I give, and my wife Bonnie and I have been married now for 47 years, and we met when we were teenagers and have been together ever since. So something's working here. But to go into a separate room in the house, each of the partners. So my wife and I will go to a separate room, and with a blank sheet of paper and maybe some soft music playing, and list down all the things that you want to do in life that you want to do before you're too old to enjoy them. And it's not, there's no priority. It's more quantity. It's all about put as many things on the paper as you can. Give yourself an hour to 2 hours to do that. Just putting as much on the list as possible. Mm-hmm. And when you're finished, I then recommend that your wife and you, or whoever, your spouse, your mate, your partner, and then go have a nice dinner, enjoy a glass of wine, but no talking about the list, no talking about it for a day, and just let it kind of simmer on the back burner. The next night, then go to a joint room where you jointly get together and compare the list and begin the process of negotiating the priorities of the merged list. You now have all the things that you want to do in life before you're too old to do it in priority order, and can start putting some dates on when you're going to get them done and have fun working the list, also called My Life by Design.
Mm-hmm. I love it, Jack. And to give people a sense of the kind of things that they might find on your list, which is available for all to see at your website, right? JackDaly.net.
That's right. So I've got a bucket list on there at JackDaly.net of over 300 items right now, of which over 200 are the boxes have been checked, and they go from very big things to very small things.
Let's talk about some of the big things, like, for example, the Ironman triathlon. You've done how many at this point?
Yeah, I've done 15 Ironmans, right. And at 58 years old, 10 years ago, I did not know how to swim, but I had doing an Ironman on my list from when I was in my 20s. And I was busy building my businesses and raising our children, so I didn't have the time to invest in preparing properly for the Ironman until I got into my late 50s.
I just want to make sure that anybody listening can appreciate this, because I just think it's phenomenal. In your 20s, you decide that it's something that you really want to do. is complete an Ironman.
Right.
In mapping out your life, your time, your priorities, your preferences, it doesn't really fit into the mix until your mid to late 50s. And so what? You literally learn to swim in your late 50s and train like crazy. Nothing's easy, right? Nothing worth doing is easy.
Yep.
But you achieve your objective.
Absolutely.
That's
Yep.
amazing.
We're all given the same number every week. It's called 168.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's 168 hours a week. And if you take the big picture items that you want to achieve, we just need to make the proper allocation of the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to be a maniacal golfer, but I had to sit my golf clubs down during my Ironman triathlon journey because 4 hours on a bike or 4 hours on a golf course, but you don't have 8 hours to do both. Mm-hmm. And so those are the trade-offs one needs to make when you have this life list. And so, you park certain things. I parked the Ironman triathlon until I could allocate the amount of time without robbing it from my children or from my company. Yeah.
It's amazing. How many marathons have you done, Jack?
89. I'm doing one in all 50 states, of which I have 49 completed, and New Jersey will happen in October. Uh-huh. I've also done one on all the continents except for Asia, and we're going to get that one cleaned up here shortly as well. It's a crazy thing. Let me tell you something, Isaac, that I think people will enjoy. One of my bucket list items was to fly a fighter jet plane. I'm not a pilot.
Of course you're not.
And so I had a guy that heard me speak. He went to my website and reviewed my bucket list, and he sent me an email and said, "Have you got the fighter jet done yet?" And I said, "No." And he sent me a photo of a fighter jet plane, and he said, "Would this qualify because I own this plane?" And literally, it still has the U.S. Air Force name and emblem on it because the Air Force feels like they're getting free marketing when he's in the air. And I said, absolutely. We Facebook friended each other. We communicated for a year back and forth because he travels and I travel extensively. So we're trying to figure out when we're going to be around the same area sometime. And 3 weeks ago, I met him at an airport, and for the very first time physically, and we went up and flew in a fighter jet, and he literally gave me the controls. We did barrel rolls, 360s, all of that crazy stuff. If people will come out of the woodwork to help you achieve what you want to achieve, but if you don't know what you want to achieve and you don't go public with it, then you miss all of these resources that come out of the woodwork to help you do it. So I show you that, but I'm going to give you another one that just happened 2 weeks after that. I had on my list to ride a Segway. Uh-huh. And a guy saw me speak 2 weeks ago, and he went on my website. He saw the Segway. He saw I was going to be in his hometown the following week in Calgary. He emailed me and said, "Is the Segway still out there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "There's a tour of 90 minutes of Calgary. How would you like to go out and do a Segway with me and tour the city?" I said, "That sounds terrific." And so that one got taken care of last week. Again, from the little things like a Segway to the big things like a jet fighter plane, or finding out how to swim so that I can do a 2.4 mile swim at the beginning of a 140.6 mile race. It's all doable. And it's a magical way to live your life.
It is magical. And Jack, it's magical to be around you. It's magical to hear your stories. I got to tell you, it's exhausting to even just contemplate all the things you get done. But it is also super inspiring. So many people, though, Jack, I feel struggle with, gosh, it's just so easy. There's always excuses, reasons, challenges. There's just life. There's just it's so easy to say, yeah, but, and to come up with reasons why not to get to that list. I think, am I paraphrasing you correctly to say that the first step is make the list?
you can't get there until you know what there is.
Right.
And I never make a judgment about people's lists. It's no different, Isaac, than me. I don't make judgments about my clients' businesses.
Right.
I'm in the business of helping people scale their business in a significant way. But if someone has a business and is comfortable with it growing at 2 or 3 percentage points a year instead of by the hundreds or thousands, that's the benefit of being an entrepreneur and an owner. And if they're happy, that's cool too. And so all I ask people is, gosh, if this life is something we only get to do once, why not sit down and just design the one that you would like, and then go about doing it?
I absolutely love it. Jack, I mean, people ask me, since my book came out, how do we start to live eyes wide open? How do we start to, live with awareness and accountability? And, my answer is always, it starts with the big questions. What's important to you? What do you value? How do you want to spend your time? What kind of spouse do you want to be, or father or child or boss or whatever? And what I admire is you've taken that to just such a whole nother level. And it's just fantastic. Let's switch gears for a second and talk about kind of how this dovetails with the work that you do with sales teams and organizations, and how they can sort of be more intentional.
Sure. So if we go into the business side and we go into the sales side, whether I'm working with a company overall on sales or whether I'm working with an individual salesperson, I need to know what there is again, right? I can't get there unless I know what there is. But if each salesperson, if I take it to the granular salesperson level, each salesperson needs to figure out what they want to be. Do you want to be in the top quartile of the people in your company in sales? Or do you want to be the number one salesperson in your company? Or do we want to do X millions of dollars in business per year as a salesperson? Or do you want to make this much money as a salesperson? Or do you want to go beyond your company and look at it in terms of the industry? I want to be in the top quartile in my industry. I want to be the number one salesperson in my industry. I want to be a top performing salesperson for 5 years and then move into a sales management role where I help others enjoy the fruits of the labors that I've done and show them the way to take their game up and take their life up. Tell me what it is that you want. Tell me what your vision is. Paint that picture. And once we've got the picture painted of where we want to go, I think it's much easier then to design the route.
Right.
It is impossible to design the route if you don't know the destination.
Yeah. Effort without purpose is entropy, right?
That's exactly right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Can I add one more element to this conversation?
Please do.
All right. I'm going to do this. I may break a little bit emotionally.
Okay.
But I'm going to make that sacrifice and take that risk for the viewer.
Okay.
So one of the things that we have to understand in designing our life is something that I call life happens, which is the meteor that just comes out of nowhere and blows up and you have to deal with it.
Right.
I've had those situations happen in my life where I thought my business was doing well and all of a sudden the industry blows and I've got all kinds of things that are changing in my life. That when that happens in your business, it then falls over into your personal life, i.e. I may not be able to do the marathons I had set my target to do that year, or the Ironmans or what have you, because of some outside events. That happened to me this year.
Oh, no.
And what happened is that about 3 months ago, my wife, Bonnie, who I've been with my whole life, was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Oh, no, Jack.
And when I did our goals, and when we sat down together and we mapped out our year, we had a magical year planned. We were going to China, and in fact, tomorrow was the day that I was supposed to run the Great Wall of China Marathon with Bonnie cheering me on and complete my all continents marathon journey. And we were going to make a 3-week trip out of the visit to China. We were going to do the Ironman in Malaysia in November. Those things have now been put to the future. And the present is a redone year, focusing on Bonnie and what we can do with her in her situation, and relooking my business. So I didn't expect to do CEO one-on-one coaching, for example. I'm asked about that all the time, but my core business was speaking all over the world. We're trying to ratchet back the travel and stay more at home. So I'm launching a CEO one-on-one coaching business over the phone, so that I can be closer to my wife during these challenging times of chemo treatments, etc. And so what we have to be aware of, even with the best process and system and intention, there are life events that take place that will cause you to relook those goals and do a reset. But when you do the reset, the process is the same. It's just that there changes. We change there. And once we understand what the new there is, then you design the new route.
Yeah. Circumstances, there are, it's almost foolishly understated to say that there are circumstances beyond our control, but how we allow those circumstances to manifest themselves in our lives and our plans is within our control.
Yeah, absolutely. You got it.
That's I'm sorry to hear that, Jack, but I'm not surprised that again you're a shining example of how to handle these proverbial curveballs.
Yep, and the good news is Bonnie just a couple weeks ago, Isaac, she had her first scan after 2 months of weekly chemo treatments, and the tumor on her pancreas miraculously shrunk by 50%.
Thank God.
And so we have some optimism going on in our lives. We don't want to get it too far out of sorts. We know what we're up against a tough road, but we're very optimistic people. We're very grateful as a couple for the lives that we've shared and the special life that we've lived, and we're making the best of all that we have in front of us. But it literally, I've had to do this previously in my life with business occurrences, but I've never really had to deal with it on a more personal level. The process stays the same. And I think that people listening need to understand that.
No, there's no doubt about it. Thank you for sharing that, Jack. You and Bonnie are my thoughts and prayers, and you have my love, and I do hope you will let me know if there's absolutely anything I can do for you guys ever. And for any CEOs listening, I got to tell you, there's nothing better you could do than get some time with Jack. So
thanks, Isaac.
No, I appreciate it, Jack. And
you bet.
Again, thank you for sharing with me. You are you have definitely mastered this whole life thing, and we have a lot to learn from you.
I'm not sure we ever master it, but we keep chipping away at it every day. You better believe it. Well, big hugs to you and the family.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it.
Okay.